Some viewers may find this content disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. Shane Michael Crisp from the West Coast Dogman Vortex, aka the West Coast Dogman Project. Yes, it is always great to team up with another North American Dogman Project member for an episode of Midnight Lycanthropy here on StarFox Radio. Much better. Absolutely much better. That was so delicious. And to be honest with you, it's not good dealing with a dog man when you're feeling a tad under the weather. So without further ado, it is time for Shane Michael Crisp and myself to take a walk into the darkness. My creatures of the night, yes, welcome back to another episode of Midnight Lycanthropy here on StarFox Radio. We have Shane Michael Crisp, yes, half of the West Coast Dogman Vortex, aka the West Coast Dogman Project. Todd Metz will be back at some point, but we do have Shane. How are you doing, my friend?
Hey, brother, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me back. This is like I say, it's always an honor to come on Midnight Lycanthropy with you.
Appreciate your friend. It's been a minute. I mean, I get a chance to the audience. I talk to Shane pretty much daily, but to get him to be able to pop on, it is a good thing. And he will be back on in the future as well. But he has a ton of change he's been going through. He's going to be a sheriff and now all kinds of big improvements. So, yeah, he's still clanking around with the North American Dogman Project, but he does have many other adventures he's been on. So, how are you been in general, man?
Brother, I've been good. Like you just stated, I'm my life's like an LA freeway. I'm going in so many different directions. It's got the sheriff's department going right now in the academy. I still try to stay active. Like you said, we talk daily, but it's like I'll try to listen to a Dogman podcast here and there. Still, I don't know how many groups we've created on Facebook, but it's we got West Coast Dogman Project. It's real active and busy. But then we got the North American Dogman Project. You've got the main state chapters. I've got Region One and the USA page for Jody, and trying to stay, proven members and stuff like that, and still try to find time to field reports and do stuff like that. It's been kind of tough. My email, I haven't been checking my email. It's just been so there's 24 hours out of the day, but I can only give so much to the Dogman phenomenon, but also balance family life and my horses and stuff like that. So it's a give or take, but I definitely I'm even though I'm on a back burner, or I guess I'm on a hiatus is what I say. I still do try to stay active and do a post or two a week, and still try to stay active within the phenomenon for sure.
100%. I mean, you are a super busy guy. And just to give the audience an example, I'm a single guy. I don't have a girlfriend or anything. I don't have children. I pretty much live by myself. So I literally all I do right now is try to get caught up with my podcast and also work on my book. Like I have, no exaggeration, probably at least 8 or 9 encounters that I need to update in my book. But the priority for me at the moment is to get Midnight Lycanthropy and Star Fox Radio caught up. Yeah, I will spend. I'll be up till 4 or 5 in the morning. Okay, I will start around 8:39 at night, and I get some new guests on, record some new episodes, and then go into the archive of the stuff that needs to be edited. And I disappear deep down into the Fox Den, and I don't reappear till 4 or 5 in the morning, give or take, before it's time to hit the casket and pass out before the sun's up, right? And
Yeah, you're a busy guy, man. Like I said, it's like a full-time job what you're doing, and the algorithms are picking up. And Star Fox Radio is just, and Midnight Lycanthropy. You're getting what you just told me before we jumped live. You're at what, 700, 800 views almost on per almost episodes. I mean, the algorithm's working in your favor. But like you said, you jump down and you're editing. It's like a full-time job that you're doing, and it's great. You see the content. I know you had to redo all your stuff, but with what you've done, Kenny, it's phenomenal what you're doing.
appreciate you, man. Again, kind words. I can't even fathom how, and not even 3 weeks yet, I was able to get all my stuff back up. And no, it's great. And honestly, it had to be done. And sure, every time you delete the video originally, you're like, oh no. But then to realize that it had to be done, and now to see the algorithm actually sharing, like I was over a friend's house the other day and they were on YouTube and just scanning through recommended videos they were, and I was like, wait a second, that's my episode right there, Midnight Lycanthropy. That's cool stuff. Like you were saying, yeah, like some of my videos with Jessica and some of the other hosts are pushing almost 700, 800 views. That's great because honestly, to anyone out there that is trying to create content, you do need to play by YouTube's rules, but you can still definitely be successful at what it is you're trying to do. And I basically just dimmed my page to PG-13, and it seemed like it's helped with the algorithm, like, not using specific words and not showing deceased animals, etc. All this stuff's up on the website. So anytime we talk about things here, you can always see the images of evidence on the website in the Facebook groups. But again, I can't post those things on YouTube. So now that I understand all those things, yeah, it's definitely been a much easier adventure for sure.
Yeah, no, and like I said, like if you want to go see those images, we have them on the NADP pages. You can go on the website, and that's what a great thing that you've been able to help Jody with, because I know Jody's busy doing his stuff and then also having his family, but to have that help that we didn't have before, and someone that is computer savvy and knows how to work on websites like yourself, and it's great. Like I was telling Jody a while back, it's not that we or like I think you used the word revamping, but I like the word reloading because yeah, we did do like a reshuffle, reorganization, like Brian Bowden said in the interview that you did with him what, a week or two ago, and it's just like that's what we're doing. We're reloading, we're revamping, and I think it's a new, not a new brand, but it's a revamped brand. NADP's been there for the last 20, 30 years that Jody's started it. There was no one really other than Linda Godfrey that was doing the Dogman and phenomenon. And Jody, if you had to choose a Mount Rushmore, this is my own personal take, but out of the 5 heads up there that should be, yes, of course you're gonna have Linda, but Jody's right next to him. So nothing but mad respects for Jody and the organization that he's created, and then getting this, it's an honor just to be a part of it and working alongside you and just as a team. We have different people. We have biologists, we have historians like yourself, journalists. We even have a newsletter. Brennan Daniels, even he's been writing and interviewing people too. So I mean, it's definitely an exciting time right now at the North American Dogman Project for sure.
No, very kind words, and it is because people don't understand. We just basically bettered ourselves, meaning we completely stacked up. We got a science team now, like I was saying. We have a spelunker, we have an environmentalist, a biologist, a master tracker, we have a geologist, and we just want to keep on like building off of that. And it's super important, but it's really good to be able to see that because hey, like I said, at the end of the day, I'm a journalist. It's cool. I don't have any fancy letters in front of my name and such. So when people don't think I'm qualified to speak about certain things, it's okay. I don't get offended. I defer to my science team, which is why I have a science team, because now science team is playing by the science rules because they all have the fancy letters in front of their name. So now they need to be listened to, but they're on the same page as the rest of us. So it's okay. Like I said, I don't get upset about any of that. I mean, my job is to document things and put together good teams and good opportunities and just present that to people, which is why we've been able to stack up on our science team as such. So, no, like you said, it's definitely really great. And I mean, we got the Monster Quest reboot coming out with Doug Highcheck here, hopefully in like the fall, and the Dogman part with the North American Dogman project is going to be the first part Doug wants to do. And then in the fall, I mean, Jody and I and everyone else here have been trying to, and we're going to push out the Germantown, Ohio documentary, which is really good stuff. So, yeah, it's good. And people just need to understand, like, once you've joined the North American Dogman Project, you are adults and you can reach out to other members of the squadron. And if you want to be more boots on the ground, hands on, whatever terminology you want, you're more than welcome to do that. Yet you don't need the okays from the rest of us, meaning you understand the rules, you have the field manual, you have been told the do's and don'ts of how to handle yourself, how to handle evidence. Go out and do those things. I mean, like I said, I'm just a journalist and a content creator, okay? I can't sit there and just put together a massive SWAT team for you if that's what you want. But there are other people that do that. That's not my swag. That's not what I do. I don't walk around in the forest with loaded weapons, and I don't do that, okay? Yes, I go out and explore, but I don't load up on firearms and such, okay? I don't even have a permit. I can't legally even carry a firearm,
Yeah,
okay? Yes. So to everyone out there, you are able to do these things, but just be advised that if you go out with a group of people and you're all loaded up and you end up shooting at each other and unfortunately unaliving each other or one of the members of your group, well, that's why we have a field manual saying don't do that. So,
exactly. And that's another thing that Jody likes to reiterate, and that's something that's one of our golden rules is we are a no-kill organization, but you have the right to protect yourself. A former member that was in our group, a year or two ago, had a good implement. That's something I still live by. Is your and it's like almost a golden rule. You have the right to go into the woods, but you also have the same right to exit those woods, unharmed. So if you have to go defend yourself, let's say it's not even a dog man you run into, but a mountain lion, a bear, and it's a fight or flight type thing. Yeah, you'd rather get out of there. But if you have to arm yourself with, a squad and heavy firearms, by all means, you have the right. I mean, you got to know when you're going into the woods, when you're trekking 2, 3, 4, 5 miles in, you're in their territory. That's their home. So that's also why, like when I go out into the woods, I'm very respectful. I got my head on a swivel. Yes, I do carry a loaded firearm with me, but I'm not out there trying to go. I'm just looking for evidence, and that's what we really implement at the North American Dogman Project. Is we are a no organization, but same time you have the right to go into the woods, but you also have the same right to exit those woods un, unharmed.
I love how you just said that and preach. And yes, exactly. And like you said, we all have a right to come out of the forest. So I don't really want to be out there with people that are just firing at things and then unaliving me because I was just like
Exactly.
snapping on a branch. Exactly.
Right? I mean, if that's the case, not to fat shame or joke around or anything like that, but the joke is there's that friend or a slower friend, you gotta sometimes you gotta leave them behind. It's fight or flight.
Yeah.
And you're
You don't have to be faster than the predator. Yes, just faster
no,
than your
and if you're
slowest
gonna
friend.
outrun, yeah, there's no way you're gonna outrun a dog, man, let
No, but
alone even a
exactly.
bear. A lot of
No.
things is people forget that bears can run really fast on all
They're
fours and they can
quadrupedal.
climb
They have four
trees.
legs. I mean, we have
Exactly.
two. Like some of us can barely stand up properly.
Yeah, and that's exactly the thing. Especially if you're going in the woods heavily armed, we got to think of all that weight you're carrying. If whether it's ammo, if you're wearing a plate carrier or just stuff like that. I mean, just in general, the average human only runs what is it like 10 to 15 miles when a bear can run up to what 30, 35, I think on all fours. I don't know the exact numbers, but you get the perspective. It's like you're not going to outrun these things, but you have the right to defend yourself. So if you do see a
Yes,
bear, yeah, if you can back away
exactly.
or act larger and scare it away, then great. But by all
But
means,
just be
if you have to
smart
unload
about
on
it
that
for
thing,
sure. That's so
exactly.
funny.
So
It's very true. You have some very imperative information because I have dove into this case a little bit and I actually heard it from you and read one of your posts about it and was intrigued. And I've tapped base on it a little bit because I've had a woman actually made a response on one of my episodes about how there's no way there's baboons in Northern California and there's no way someone could mistaken a hyena and baboon for a werewolf, etc., whatever. But this is great because I wanted to have you elaborate a little bit on the Watts Valley incident that occurred because we all do know I informed you a little bit about the Klickitat ape cat, which is obviously in a different area, but it's pretty close in a proximity where it's not the end of the world for something to potentially migrate back and forth or etc. So if you wanted to dive into that a little bit, that'd be lit.
yeah, no, there's a lot of weird strangeness out here in California. A lot of people just think, oh, California, where Patty was filmed. Yes, it is, but we also have a lot of other reports. We've had people run in with Dogman. They've ran in with devil monkeys. But the Watts Valley wolf ape is the one that's really interesting case there. I mean, there's a famous photographer back in the day by the name Ansel Adams. If you ever look up Ansel Adams, he's famous for his black and white portraits of the Yosemite National Park and just very beautiful photos. But he had an alleged run-in with these things, and there was a pack that followed him, and he ended up hiding in this tent. And I guess they, attacked his campground. They didn't attack him, but he talked about it. But then, okay, that was just the one incident. But there's been 3 or 4 different incidents with this Watts Valley wolf ape. I've been trying to get a team to go up there. I was supposed to go up in April to go check out the Watts Valley Cemetery. That's where this thing's been known to be seen. And there is a famous photo online that if you type in Watts Valley wolf ape on Google or Bing, if whatever search engine you have, it'll pop up a picture and you see a red circle of something that it doesn't to me really look like a baboon. It looks more like it could be a what would you say? Almost like a bobcat. It looked like, but I mean, photos are subjective until you actually have proof of it. That's where I'm with you, Kenny. Like we're trying to we look at this phenomenon with the dog man and these cryptids on more of a scientific aspect. I know there is the woo and the paranormal side to it, but everyone wants a body. They want evidence. You can look at photos all day long. It could be something else. But the Watts Valley wolf ape, there's an alleged story where there was a one-room schoolhouse. I don't remember. They never said what date or what the year was, but it allegedly attacked a schoolhouse where the teacher put, desks in front of the door. Kids were hiding in the closet. Well, this Watts Valley, I don't know if it was more than one, but a Watts Valley wolf ape broke in, attacked the classroom, like just totally destroyed it, and it ate the kids' lunch and ran off. And it didn't attack them. Luckily, they were all able to escape injury free. But then there was an alleged incident, I would say about 10 or 15 years ago. I don't know the exact year, but there was 2 brothers that were out. I think they were hunting and they happened to run into this thing and it started chasing them. Well, they were able to stop it they had candy in their pockets. I think it was candy or some food, extra lunch or something. But they were able to stop it by getting ground away from it because they were throwing, I think it was candy on the ground, and it stopped and started sniffing. And they were able to check back to their vehicle, or they found someone that was driving down the road and that gave them a ride, and they were just so freaked out by it. But this thing is allegedly looks like a baboon, but it has more of a body like a wolf. So that's where you get the name wolf ape. So I don't know if it's a hybrid or if it's something in general, if there is a mistaken dogman sighting, because there is dogman sightings in Fresno. Fresno is a very weird area, Fresno County especially. A good buddy of mine who I think you'd like to interview, his name's Javi Morales. He's with Cryptid 559. He's had his own dogman encounter out by Avocado Lake a few years ago. And he's also has a really good photo of him standing in front of a tree, and on the outside of it, you can see an outline of what looks like a Sasquatch. So he's also had pterodactyl sightings in there. It's just where you have like the Bermuda Triangle, where it's a high area of strangeness. I know up in the Northeast where you're at, Kenny, Todd's elaborated it to me a little bit, but there's like a triangle up in the northeast, like by Connecticut, where weird strangeness happens. But Fresno has a lot of weird stuff too. So they don't know if it's the power lines or it's just there's old native grounds there where I think the Yokit tribe. I could be wrong. I don't remember what the native tribe is that's in that area, but they've had alleged sightings, hundreds of years ago of just weird things that they've seen. So it's definitely an interesting area. So I think that the Watts Valley Wolf Ape could be a thing because I talked to Ryan Tremblay and William Nighthawk about the devil monkeys in the Silicon Valley, where those things have been seen up by Sacramento, being terrorizing people. It's just a high weird area of strangeness all up and down California. But Fresno is definitely a spot where you got the Fresno Nightcrawler that went famous 10 years ago, if not, where you see the security footage and you see these two pale looking creatures walking the street, and you would think it's like a little kid wearing a sheet over his head, but the way this thing walks, it's only like two legs, and it walks really weird, just not natural. But there's two of them. It's like a little one and a taller one. It just, like I say, Fresno is just a crazy weird area.
Wow, that is gnarly, and that is absolutely excellent because, like I said, that Watts Valley encounter is something that's always intrigued me. And like you said, honestly, I've sent videos to people before and I encourage people to look it up. Baboons have massive manes, huge teeth, elongated face. They have pointy ears. They also have eyes that glow at night. I mean, certain species have had to adapt to dealing with leopards, so they have night vision, infrared type vision. And yeah, they would look to somebody like that, especially who has not really seen a baboon at that point in time, especially if it is an older encounter before TV and such, that would look like a wolf ape. But also, interestingly enough, same thing with devil monkeys. I mean, devil monkeys look like crazy baboons. I mean, even if it take out the term devil monkey, look at a baboon when it's ticked off. It looks like a devil monkey. I mean, there's a video.
Exactly.
Yes, there's a video I recently saw of one climbing up into someone's window through the side of the house, going inside, ripping open the fridge, taking out a huge cooked chicken and just sitting there eating it. And the person that was renting the Airbnb is like, "Hey, get out of here, get out of here." And the baboon's like, "Rah, yeah, rah," going all crazy. And then he just picks up the huge chicken and climbs back out the window and shimmies across and then runs off. So, I
Yeah,
mean,
and that's the thing with the wolf ape. It's so interesting. I mean, the nickname they have for it also is Devil Fang. So if you've got Devil Fang, which looks like it's a baboon, the thing's been seen, it's coughing, and it looks really sickly. But I mean, it's Native Americans reported seeing this thing hundreds of years ago, and even have drawings. But when the Europeans came over and colonized these lands, they saw the drawings what the natives have of the Watts Valley wolf ape, but they found no physical evidence of it. But that's where when I do a lot of research, like I learned a lot from Ryan Tremblay, is by diving onto the native aspect, because the natives were the first ones on these lands way before European settlers colonized our lands. And it's just like, okay, well, if the natives have seen these things, well, obviously they're not lying about it. They're just passing along what they've seen through word of mouth to people in their tribes. And it's so interesting to go dive down this. It's like, is this thing a wolf ape? Is it a mistaken dogman? Is it a mistaken Sasquatch? Well, no, because if you look at the physical descriptions of the Watts Valley wolf ape, it doesn't match that of what your typical type 2 dogman, let's just use that for example, or type 3s. It doesn't look anything like that. It does have more of the human hands and feet, but Dogmen to me only have more of the human hands with the long claws, but with a digitigrade leg structure. So it's like, are we looking at something totally different? That's what, when you jump down into this Dogman phenomenon, you're going to go through 7 different wormholes or I like to say vortex. That's what I named my podcast after, because you're going down different wormholes, vortexes, and you're going to have 20 more questions than you're ever going to get an answer. But the one thing that people should really look at is the native history to where you live. It doesn't have to be where I live in California. It could be Texas. It could be Colorado. And that's the hard part is you can try looking at the native aspect of it, but a lot of the native tribes don't like talking to people outside of the reservation, so it's kind of hard to get info. You have to get people like William Nighthawk or some others like your friend, that we won't say her name, but the ones that are willing to talk and share a little bit of their history, that's gold to me right there.
100%, which is why I always try to make sure to defer to Nuxium all the time when I'm trying to make sure to understand things and try to like learn things. And also, yes, the spot you were referring to in the Northeast is called the Bennington Triangle. It's a region in southwestern Vermont where a number of people
Mhm.
since the 1945s have gone missing, but definitely between the 1945 and 1950, it was a huge cluster. And this area is in the Glastonbury mountain range. And there's a ton of ghost towns up there near Somerset. And also in the Vermont area, there's another place called Cold Hollow, which was having some
Oh,
Dogman type interactions. And Cold Hollow is like a really small town in Vermont that is pretty isolated. And I believe the girl said they have to travel at least an hour to try to get to an area where they're able to have some sort of entertainment aspects. Whereas, I mean, they have like their little pizza joint and stuff, but it's a pretty small area. And it's near Waterboro, Vermont, Cold Hollow. And you got the Cold
mhm.
Hollow Mountains. Like I said, it's pretty isolated, but they've been having Dogman type encounters and such, which is interesting. And I have a hypothesis, actually, I've been thinking about it as well, that I would like to turn into a theory. And you're one of the first people I've had a chance to really sit down and try to talk to about it. Deborah Hatchwell was informing me a little while ago that there was a recent Dogman encounter where when they disposed of the creature, it had what looked to be raccoon like hands and feet, and it looked raccoonish, but it was a massive like Dogman like creature. And I'm wondering if, again, we're not looking at something canine based. What if it is maybe something along the lines of a relative of a raccoon? And because, again, they have articulated hands and really long kind of feet that they could, be upright and bipedal on. And it's just something I've been trying to scan through to see if there's more people that have reported that. And yeah, there are people that have reported raccoonish looking wolf men or dog men that had like raccoon type like coloring or such. So it's interesting.
Yeah, it really is, and it's you got the name on that. I remember Todd had told me about Todd Metz. He's my co-host over at Dogman Vortex podcast, and it's just like, yeah, all these areas of high strangeness. There's obviously a pattern. I mean, if you had two hillbillies coming out of the woodworks and saying, "Hey, this is what I saw," you're gonna just think they're drunk on moonshine. But when you have a cluster of reports that all fit the same description of something, obviously there's something going on in the area. What's causing it? Is it the waterways? Is there just a high, just weird paranormal aspect to it? I really don't know. It seems like sightings have been more increased ever since, like you said, 1945. Is it just portals opening up? I mean, I don't know. I don't really jump into that aspect of it, but obviously people see these things open up, and it's just, yeah, areas of high strangeness for sure.
100%. And I'm with you. I mean, we definitely have a ton of paranormal based or supernatural type aspects, but we have a ton of physical aspects. And I personally fall into the lines a little bit more of this being something that exists. I mean, we don't know anything about the cave systems, and we really don't know that much about the forest and such. I mean, we think animals are extinct all the time, and look at the ocean. We literally know nothing about the ocean. We know less about cave systems. So there's really such a high
Exactly.
probability of something being able to maneuver around old mine shafts and caves. And just an example, the short-faced cave bear spent 90% of its life in the cave. Okay, it would come out, get its food, rummage around, and then go back in the caves and just chill and walk all around. Okay, so that's just an example right there. And our spelunker, she was saying that only 10% of the caves actually connect to the surface. Okay, so the majority of them never really do, except if something was to know where the entrances were. And realistically, there's cave systems where you could maybe enter in Maine and come out somewhere in California. Who knows? I mean, I don't know the cave systems, I don't go all the way around them, but if our country is on top of cave systems, which it is, then in theory, they're going to connect to different outlets, meaning something could go up in, LBL and pop up in Maine somewhere. And if it wanted to not be detected publicly and just get its food and go back in the caves, which is cave hyena behavior as well, it could easily do that stuff. So it's really intriguing, man.
Yeah, it really is, and that's the thing that we like you said, we only know 10% of the cave systems, but it's literally an underground highway if these things are connecting. But another interesting thing that you actually created, which I think, yeah, you superimpose the two images when you take David Pilates' missing 411s and you match it up to the underground cave system of what we know of. It's almost identical, so it's very possible for something that someone saw in Maine, let's say a type 3 dogman, and then they see one in Pennsylvania matching the same description. How did they get there? I mean, are they jumping through portals? But if you're looking at a scientific aspect, maybe it is using the underground highway to pop up in another spot. Maybe it's hunting grounds. We really don't know.
100%. And here's something else I kind of fall into the aspect of. There's a lot of people that have found what looks to be almost like the same concept of trapdoor spiders, meaning there looks to be a burrow that goes down that is covered up with brush, meaning whatever is underneath there can come up and down just like a trapdoor spider does and grab something. And hyenas dig burrows that are like 7 to 8 feet deep. Okay. They really don't usually give up their dens, which is hard for scientists to get in there, but they love to burrow. Okay. So think now, 7 to 8 feet down, that's pretty deep. And it's covered up with foliage on top of that. So what if they burrowed down 8 feet and they ended up entering into a chamber of a cave outlet? So now they're back in there going all around. And what if they have these little like trap doors every, I don't know, 300 miles or something where they just pop out and can grab prey real quick and then disappear again?
Yeah, exactly. And that's another interesting thing that you say, burrowing 7 to 8 feet down. When you look at your typical dogman, they're roughly 7, 8 feet tall. And if you get a chance to ever talk to Al Santoriga, he has a very interesting perspective on dens, on how dogmen create them compared to a Sasquatch. They build those elaborate, really intriguing, forts, but dogman dens are more kind of messy, where it's just like branches and just brush that they scurry up together and make it into like a big old pile. But an interesting aspect that Al told me is that a dogman will burrow itself down at a 45-degree angle and wait and sit there. So when like a deer, for example, or you're a hiker that's out by himself, which I don't ever recommend people go hiking by themselves, or if you do, at least tell someone where you're at. But let's just say it's a deer, and then it pops up, grabs it, and then goes back in.
Yes.
Is that proven? We don't know, but Al's definitely boots on the ground. He's out there in New York, and he's seen a dogman, and he said that's exactly how it is. And I was like, that's a very interesting perspective that we can. That is a physical evidence. He's seen it. And it's not just him. He was a team with Brian Bowden. Brian will tell you the same exact thing.
Yeah, I've actually had a chance to speak to both of them and some really great perspectives. And to be honest with you, actually, it is fact, man, because the reason I'm going to boldly say that is the Smithsonian has the cave system in Saudi Arabia where it is recent compared to not being ancient, where there are thousands of human and animal bones that have been dragged in there. Wait a second. There are not supposed to be any hyenas that are native to Saudi Arabia. Okay. So wait a second. How'd that get in there? Well, those hyenas like to go back into the den and yum, 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 yum. So there it is right there.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Out of everyone I've ever talked to while being in this field for the last 2, 3 years, I call myself a novice because I'm learning so much. But you have dived more in on the hyena dogman variant than anybody, and that you brought so much light to it to where this thing's not even called. You've looked into it. Hyenas are not canine. They're their own group. I think
Yeah, they're
the
related to
scientific name, isn't it
mongoose
like,
and like civets and stuff. Yes.
yeah, the scientific name isn't even canine. It's like hyena day or something. It's something totally different. So I think we both, looking at your research and then doing my own on what we've dubbed the name hyena beast, it should be its own cryptid. Yes, it's very much canine looking like your typical dogman, but it doesn't need to be a variant. It's a cryptid of its own. And it definitely acts the same way as a dogman. So if you're into the believing the genetically modified these things, then hey, maybe they did. We don't know. We don't have physical evidence. And I don't think that where you go on YouTube, you type in, you see some of these podcasts that say, oh, hyena Dogman, it's created. Well, how do they know? Oh, well, someone leaked it out. It's like, no, if you really look at it, people that are in sign NDAs. So
Mm-hmm.
really, I think it's a lot of creepy pastas that people are creating this, genetically modified creature. Maybe they are genetically modified, but I don't believe someone is gonna go on to some random podcast and be like, I know this, or once it's indiscreet and talking. I know Jody's talked to some military personnel, but he doesn't say their name, and maybe their NDA had expired to where they were able to talk about it, But when you got this one guy, we'll just say this one podcaster, he has a former military guy come on. What he like 5 different times saying that him and his team hunt these things down. I just it's hard for me to look at that, and I have more questions than we get answers out of it. It's to me it's like creepy pasta. It's good for viewership, stuff like that, but that's not what we're about. We're trying to figure out what this phenomenon is. But when it goes back to the hyena beast, it's a cryptid of its own. Like I say, is it genetically modified? Are they splicing genes and creating something up in the lab? That's very possible. We have the technology these days. It's interesting, but I wouldn't believe everything you see on the internet or on YouTube. But that's what we're trying to do at the North American Dogman Project, Star Fox Radio, West Coast Dogman Project. I said, there's other groups out there, but we're all trying to, we're collaborating. And that's what I think with this field, we need to collaborate more together and look at it from more of a scientific aspect. Because when you have physical evidence compared to a pareidolia photo, people want the body. They want to see the evidence. They want to see the footprint. They want to see the hair sample. That to me leans more on the scientific side of why we need evidence, So but if you're one of those people, I'm not going to harm you because I listen to all these podcasts and it's pretty interesting. But there is podcasters out there that do the creepy pastas and say, personnel told them this and told them that. But really, unless they're willing to go live and say it, but oh, they're in fear of their life. Well, it's creepy pasta. You gotta you don't have to be a boots on the ground researcher to go out in the fields and all that, but you could be an online researcher as well. And just got to know, be in that investigator mindset and know what's fake and what's not. It's really easy. I wish all these podcasts that would do that would put at the bottom of their video, creepy pasta, not a real story, or you get the ones an alleged, something. But it's like it's interesting, and it really is. But definitely do your research, is what I could say.
100%, man. Preach, preach, preach. And I do appreciate you again always popping on here. And before I do let you go, something really interesting. A ton of descriptions of Dogman. Bearzilla. Okay, well, bears aren't canine. Baboon Dogman. Baboons aren't canine. Direwolf looking. Direwolves aren't related to canines. You're not going to get modern day canine DNA from that either. Okay, wait a second. Yes, those are all variants of Dogman that you're not going to get canine DNA from. So again, just encourage everyone to not take everything at face value just because someone uses the term werewolf, or meaning that it has to be a werewolf, or also that it has to be Dogman based. And on a final note, it's just not the way science works. Okay, you need something that is closely related, meaning if you were to take my DNA, other people's DNA that are people, sure, okay, if you mix around different primates, etc. But at the end of the day, if it worked like this, then nature would do it, meaning they have grizzly bears and polar bears that mated. Why? Okay, because they're close enough related. All right, you have wolves and domesticated dogs, again, closely enough related. But you can't just take a crocodile and have it elope with a human being and make a crocodile person. You can't just take a shark and put human DNA in the shark and all of a sudden have Shark Boy running around. It doesn't work like that. So I
Right.
do, I do
Exactly.
encourage people to at least take a little bit of perspective on that. I mean, the only way any of that could work is in theory, and we'll talk about it more next time, is if you remove the head of, say, a wolf and put it on the body of a human, or we're in theory able to remove the human brain, put it into the wolf, or something along the lines of that. Take the arm of a gorilla, sew it onto a human. Okay, now you can talk about some of the body morphing, etc. But like I just said, at the end of the day, you can't just take squirrel DNA and mix it up and make a squirrel woman. Okay, it just doesn't work like that.
Yeah, it really doesn't. I know with science, we've been able to create certain things, like you were just stating with the wolf, on a human. But obviously, if it's something that's close in DNA, look at the koi wolf, for example, or the liger, a lion and a tiger. Both are king or cats, big felines,
Same
but
gene
their
pool,
DNA
yes.
somewhat. Yes, they can match it up. Yeah, you're not going to get something like that created out in the wild by all means. But look at the donkey. It's a horse or the mule, for example. It's a donkey and a horse. And then when it becomes a mule, it can't reproduce. It's
Yes,
stuff like
exactly.
that. So
Yes.
it's really interesting, and that's what I love about this phenomenon and working and collaborating with you is having the same mindset. But when you got some guy that goes out into the woods, takes a picture, and he's got 20 red circles around it, and claiming that they're all dogmen, it's like you got to just do, like I said earlier, you just got to do your research, and like you said, you have a certain perspective on this.
100%, my friend, and I can't appreciate you more. And I look forward to our next collaboration for sure. And we always definitely have some great stuff rolling, man. So thanks for popping on tonight, brother.
Yeah, brother, anytime. And keep up the great work you're doing, man. Like I said, it's always a true honor to come on and just talk with you. And I know we talk daily through text message, but it's like I say, just getting on the phone with you for 30 minutes or even just, 10, 15-minute call. It's like I say, you're one of the best out there. In my book, I will put you up on that pedestal and say, hey, you do your work and you do a thorough job. You're not out there putting creepy pasta stuff up. You keep doing what you're doing, Kenny, and the work is showing, the algorithms working. You're gonna get there, man. Like I said, you're gonna be that dog man guy that I always listen to and I enjoy. So keep up the great work, brother.
Thank you for everyone who once again stopped by tonight for another episode of Midnight Lycanthropy here on Star Fox Radio. If you do enjoy my content, please like, subscribe, and share it. Feed the algorithm, and I will see you soon.